Hi, this is Les Levine, the self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason in Ohio sports. Mark Sommer will be talking about the return to Cleveland by Rocky Colavito, who was one of the most popular player of the Indians, who was traded to Detroit for Harvey Keene. That was a trade involving the home run king for the batting champ by Frank Lane, who would have traded his mother if they would let him. If you're wondering how big that trade was, think Omar Vizquel or Francisco Lindor, or think of 374 home runs from a guy who could also come out of the bullpen with legitimate closer stuff. He was popular enough to be traded back to the Tribe later on for Tommy Agee and pitcher Tommy John. Rocky was a member of one of my favorite Indians teams, the 1959 version, with whack jobs like Vic Power, Billy Martin, Woody Held, Minnie Minoso, Jimmy Pearsall, and the real Tito Francona, along with pitchers Gary Bell and Herb Score, and they could play, at least until Trader Lane went to work. Dave Bacon is here to talk about that and some Browns rookies. More sports, and Les Levine is on the air. From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Les Levine, it's a Wednesday night. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports and Les Levine, into our 23rd consecutive year, soon to be 24, and exclusively on cleveland.com. Dave Bacon is here. Dave, we're going to run the gamut here tonight. We're going to talk Rocky Colavito for some of you old-timers. You never got to see him play.
I did not. I did hear about him quite a bit,
well,
though.
Yeah. I've always said
everybody in Cleveland talked
I've
about
always
him.
said that I wasn't around when Abe Lincoln was president, but I certainly knew he was one.
Exactly.
So he's one of the all-time favorites for Cleveland Indians fans. Mark Sommer will be with us via the phone talking about the return to Cleveland. He ran into some rough spots. The Indians and Rocky had some problems over the years, and Rocky, well, coming back is a big deal, I guess, is the point.
Well, yeah, I mean, the Indians of that era had financial troubles. Rocky was a power hitter and wanted, fair market value,
Sure.
which everybody wants. So you get that, and he was as popular a Cleveland sports figure as there was during his era.
Yeah, I mentioned Vizquel and Lindor. It's similar to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I'm too young, but my parents were big Rocky Colavito fans. My older brother, big Rocky Colavito fan, so I'm very well aware.
I mentioned in the open the 1959 team was my favorite Indians team. Do you have a favorite Indians team? It's got to be 95, right?
Probably, because when I was growing up, it was 20 games out of first place by the 4th of July.
Right.
So in the 70s and 80s, there wasn't much very good baseball. It's different, though, because those 95 teams I was covering every day,
right?
And it's just a little different dynamic.
Instead of a fan.
Exactly.
Okay, you also, as a member of the media, you went out and visited some Browns rookies. Who impressed you?
Absolutely.
Well, I won't say who didn't. Who did impress you?
You know what? It's interesting because they've kept the rookies in town. They're doing youth camps. They went to the Hall of Fame in Canton.
That's great.
They're going to Cedar Point. Yeah. I want some video of that from some of the Southern guys that are big, that they're going to get on these roller coasters tomorrow. Right. You know what? They all seemed to really enjoy interacting with fans. Everybody was posing to take pictures with cell phones. It seems to be a really good group of guys.
To give an idea how crazy the fans are about this team, the other day, Saturday, Jarvis Landry had that softball game out in Willoughby. Estimates over 5,000 people to watch this. Yeah. Now, it was for charity, which is great, and they raised a lot of money. But does that number, in the rain, does that number surprise you?
No, I mean, it really doesn't. Think about how long Cleveland has been wanting a football team to kind of rise up, and it's, by all the indications, that's happening. The rookies were getting waylaid. It was a young kids camp. And then parents were stopping them as they were going from the interview area, and they were really cordial and polite, and stopped and probably took 10, 15 selfies with people. And
somebody asked me, when players show up for the first time, rookies, whatever sport it is. They're all great guys. When do they turn out to not be so great guys?
Probably
the
after
first
they,
paycheck?
After they get beat up a little bit, probably.
They settle back to the norm. Mark Sommer will join us momentarily, but the Indians won a game last night. The home run bats were out 3 in a row in the 7th inning. To me, the biggest one was the Jose Ramirez one. Indians were up 1-0. He hits a 3-run homer. That just stopped the game right there.
Well, he hit it well into the second deck, too.
The opposite way.
Yeah. The thing that the Indians have to figure out is, are they going to get anything from Jose Ramirez resembling what he was?
Right.
Are they going to get anything from Jason Kipnis?
How do you know that?
You don't. I mean, you have to have a sense of what's going wrong. And I think if they knew what was going wrong with Ramirez or Kipnis, it had been fixed by now.
Yeah.
It's not as simple as, well, his hands are up too high, or there's something that's going beyond that. Having said that, there's no way the Twins are going to continue to play at the level they have.
Right. So do you think it's a 10-game deal right now? What do you think?
I don't know. I don't know that Twins are coming back to the pack. I don't know if they're coming that far back to the pack.
They went 17 innings last night.
Yeah, I know. And they've had Buxton is on the IL. Marwin Gonzalez just went on the IL earlier today, so they're starting to get beat up. Each and every one of their starters, -1, is having a career-type year where they're giving up half a run to a run less than their career ERA. That doesn't happen.
Well, I pose the question to you. Instead of revamping this team here, this Indians team, why not keep the core and make a run for next year? Because just what you said, Minnesota doesn't figure to stay at that level next year. I assume they're going to win, but I haven't given up hope yet that the Indians will find a way. But if you're an Indians fan, you've got till the All-Star break, and after that, the first 3 games are at home against Minnesota. If you could chop off 2 or 3 games between now and the All-Star break, why not?
Well, I think that more than anything, if you're talking about do you trade, do you acquire, do you sell, I think more than wins or losses, it has to be what is happening. Are you getting the type of starting pitching that you expected to get from Clevenger, Bauer, and eventually Corey Kluber? I mean, look, the Indians have been beat up. I mean,
it's not an excuse, by the way.
No team can sustain winning when you lose 3 starting pitchers that you're counting on to do very well. I mean, having said that, the offense is challenged. You got to find out, are you going to get anything from Kipnis, or you can get anything from Ramirez? If those start to show life, then maybe you do try to add an outfielder.
And you got a month and a half to make that decision. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. You can email us during the show at reallesslevine@gmail.com. We have a Facebook question of the day, and that is an interesting one, is with Mark Sommer coming on, talking about Rocky Colavito. Do you think Rocky should have a statue at Progressive Field? Danny Harrison says, absolutely yes, but the Dolans have no sense of our heritage and have sold out to whoever they can to make a buck. Rocky was one of the best players to wear the uniform, and the Dolans don't know anything about him. I don't think that's correct. I think they're very well aware of Rocky Colavito.
They're Clevelanders.
They're Clevelanders. It says they sold out to whoever they can to make a buck. I'm not sure I understand that either. Kevin Pyle says, yes, get a statue. If not the best right fielders of his era with a rocket arm. He did have a great arm. He was my favorite player growing up. Don't knock the rock. Rick May says, yes, and the statue should be him pointing his bat at the pitcher. Larry Pantages, yes, and the attached plaque should say he represented hope between 1954 and 1995 and was a model of respect for the game. Good point.
Yeah.
Robert Moore says, no, thanks to Trader Lane. 374 combined home runs, though. That was a big number.
You know what would be interesting is if they put statues of guys from each era. Just put it out there and make it as a history to the Cleveland Indians.
Yeah, well, you have that sort of with Heritage Park, which is terrific. I'm not sure everybody is aware of that. If you go to a ball game, if you haven't been to Heritage Park, it's time to do that.
Yeah, but celebrate. And again, I get it. Indians baseball in the 60s, 70s, and 80s wasn't great, but celebrate some of the people that were.
Absolutely. 216-575-0403. Mark Sommer wrote the book Rocky Colavito, Cleveland's Iconic Slugger. He will be with us when we come back. Dave Bacon and I exclusively on cleveland.com.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program has been recognizing role model students and teachers since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Supporting Education. There, you can nominate students in kindergarten through 12th grade as academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible for the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Let's check the birthdays out for today, June 19th. One of the all-time greats, Lou Gehrig, born on this date in 1903. Jim Rapp is a basketball player.
Pretty good jump shot, huh?
Excellent. He practiced all day long. Anthony Parker, former Cavalier. Dirk Nowitzki, Jacob deGrom, and C.J. Mosley. This is a
pretty good day.
Pretty good day for sure, no question about that. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Mark Sommer from Buffalo is on the line with us to talk about a book, Rocky Colavito, Cleveland's iconic slugger. Mark, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on, Les.
Our pleasure. Dave Bacon is with us also. So, but he's way too young to have seen Rocky play. So I've made up for that. I saw him play all the time. Tell me about first the interest in Rocky Colavito from you, who, to my understanding in our conversation, there's no real Cleveland tie.
There's really none at all. I think I knew Cleveland best from watching baseball games with the Cleveland Indians. I grew up in New York, and us in New York, outside of New York City, when I was 8, we moved to California. At the age of 10, I really started to get into baseball. Rocky Colavito was one of my favorite players for a lot of reasons that fans of that generation would know. You know, he was very charismatic. He had movie star looks. He was a home run hitter and held his bat up real high. He had a great name, Rocky Colavito, also known as The Rock.
You think that's a phony name? You think it's really Joe Smith and he changed the name?
Well, it didn't hurt him to have that name, that's for sure, right?
Yeah.
Pretty cool name.
He also hit 4 home runs.
I remember saying to Rocky once, you know, people thought he had a great name. He said, really? I said, come on, you know people thought that, right? He said, no, it's just a name. To me, honestly, I don't get what people would see in that name.
Well, he also hit 4 home runs in a row in a game in Baltimore. Ernie Johnson Sr. was one of the pitchers who gave up one. Of course, his son, Ernie Johnson Jr., everybody knows him from TNT. But then you've got 1959, and I mentioned earlier it's the team I enjoyed the most growing up. But Frank Lane got his hand on it and traded Rocky for Harvey Keene, the batting champ, for the home run champ. How explosive was that?
It's arguably the most controversial trade even to this day. It's certainly right up there in the handful of trades like that. Rocky was this charismatic, as we said, you know, home run hitting outfielder who had the best slugging statistics in the American League in 58 and 59. He was just coming into his own at the age of 26. He led the American League in home runs with 42 and 59, actually tied with another player. The team itself had been suffering at the turnstiles and in the standings. They finished second in 59, and attendance went up some 834,000. Unless you might remember that there was talk at that time that the team could even move because of dwindling attendance. So Rocky was at 26, just entering the peak of his playing ability, and then Frank Lane trades him to Detroit for a singles-hitting, pretty non-charismatic but very good ball player named Harvey Keene. And fans just went into deep depression, especially, I would say, the Italian-American fans, who revered Rocky as someone who, you know, Italians suffered a lot of discrimination in the early part of the 20th century as immigrants came over. And baseball was one area where Italian-Americans could really excel and everybody could look up to them. And Italians took a lot of pride in Rocky Colavito. So when he left, it just really hurt.
Well, he grew up within a stone's throw of Yankee Stadium and eventually wound up as a Yankee and actually came out of the bullpen and pitched a little bit. But he did bounce around, though. Kansas City, he was traded to Detroit and then Kansas City and then the Yankees ultimately. And so his popularity in Cleveland did not transfer to these other cities, as far as I know.
Well, he was popular in Detroit. He played under the shadow of Al Kaline, who was really king in Detroit. But he had 1 year in Kansas City, as you mentioned. He went there after Detroit, and in that one season, he was very popular in Kansas City. It was a crazy year. He played under Charles Finley, the kind of wild owner. I have a chapter called "Joining the Circus" to describe what it was like to play there. When Rocky came back to Cleveland, he came back after the team had been sputtering for 5 years. They were then in that 34-year period of futility that was later coined the curse of Colavito. Attendance had been plummeting consistently. So when Rocky came back, Gabe Paul, Franklin's successor as the general manager, actually said that Rocky was being brought back to save the franchise. They gave up a lot for him. The Indians gave up Tommy John, who was having a Hall of Fame-worthy career, and they gave up Tommy Agee, who would be the American League Rookie of the Year. But they needed Colavito back, and it reversed the decline in attendance dramatically. People started coming, and talk of moving the team, which had resurfaced, came to a halt when Colavito was back on the team. He led the American League in RBIs that year, and it looked like the storybook ending was going to happen, but as we know, it didn't.
All right, so for a guy who was that popular, the Indians and Rocky over the years had an on and off relationship, but it's back on now. And what is he, 86 now?
He's going to be on August 10th.
All right, so he's going to be here on July 5th at the State Theater. Tell us about that event.
Sure. It seemed like a great time with the book coming out to bring Rocky back to Cleveland during All-Star Week. After all, he was an All-Star 6 times, played in 9 All-Star games, hit 3 All-Star game home runs. He does not come to Cleveland that often. He's gotten, as an older person, traveling is difficult. He's very fond of Cleveland, but he just doesn't travel that much, certainly this distance. So we're having a special night with Rocky to celebrate his career. It's a chance for him to tell stories, to talk about some of the highlights of his career. I'm sure the trade will come up, the curse will come up. Bob DiBiasio, who is the Cleveland Indians Senior VP for Public Affairs, and has had an important role in Rocky's relationship with the Indians in recent years. He's going to be there to talk to Rocky. We're going to include John Adams, who is, I'm sure, no surprise to anyone, no mystery. He's the bleacher drummer for anyone who may not know, for all these many years out in the bleachers in Cleveland. There might be 1 or 2 surprises. I'm going to do some readings from the book, Rocky Colavito, Cleveland's Iconic Slugger. So, and there'll also be a chance for people to ask questions of Rocky. It really promises to be a very, very special night, kind of a one-of-a-kind event. I don't know how many times Rocky's going to be in Cleveland, but it's certainly a rare opportunity to see Rocky.
Yeah.
I also want to mention a special thanks to our lead sponsor, Sugartale, if I may, and thanks to the Italian Sons and Daughters of America, the Baseball Heritage Museum, and the support of the Cleveland Indians to help make this possible.
Talking to Mark Sommer, Dave, you have any questions for Mark? Just a name that synonymous with the Indians of the 50s and into the 60s. The question is, he's an iconic figure in Cleveland, as you mentioned with the book. But what do the people who follow Major League Baseball statistically and personality-wise, is he on anybody's real radar at this point?
Well, it's hard to say. He has not been in the spotlight for a while. And so when that happens, you tend to recede from conversation and debate. And an issue that comes up with Rocky is, especially among his supporters, is why isn't he in the Hall of Fame? He averaged 33 home runs and 102 RBIs in his career per season. When he retired, he had the 3rd most home runs for a right-handed American League batter in history. Those are pretty lofty statistics. Between 58 and 62, playing at a time when there were stars like Mickey Mantle and Willie Mays and Hank Aaron and Harmon Killebrew and Frank Robinson, Rocky hit more home runs in that 5-year period than any of them.
Wow.
So there's a lot of argument that Rocky's statistics as a power hitter in the era that he played in right up there with many of the greats, and makes him very deserving to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. When you say
barely
30,
got it noticed at the time when it happened, when the voting occurred in the mid '70s. But there are fans who, you mentioned the statue issue earlier, and there are fans who think he should have a statue, and there are fans who think he should be in the Hall of Fame.
all right, when you say 32 home runs, that doesn't sound a lot in today's day and age, but that certainly was a lot in the 50s. Mark, we're going to take a break and come back. We'll talk more about Rocky Colavito with Mark Sommer when we get back. Then we'll take a look at some of the Browns rookies that Dave had a chance to meet with today. You can catch the excitement of live harness racing every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Saturday. That's at Northfield Park. Post time is 6 p.m., but it's open early every day for simulcast action from all across the world, believe it or not. They've got a weekly Sunday contest. Top prize, $500 in cash. Lady Luck's Clubhouse open every Saturday with the buffet, just $15.95. Free admission, free parking every day at Northfield Park. Mark Sommer, along with Dave Bacon and I, return in a moment exclusively. More sports and less Levine on cleveland.com.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature Stone floor.
My basement was a disaster. We tried carpet, we tried tile on our uneven basement floor, but nothing worked.
Moisture, dampness, even flooding will not harm Nature Stone. And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your basement flooring again. Get Nature Stone installed by the end of June and save up to 50%. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor, wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Dave, you don't have to say too much about this. This date in history, June 19th, just 3 years ago, Cavaliers complete one of the biggest comebacks in sports history, beating Golden State for the third straight game to win the NBA title to halt the Cleveland sports drought at 52 seasons. Remember that?
It seems
way
like
back in history?
It seems like it's a whole lot longer than 3 years, doesn't it?
We're starting the new drought period. Here you go. But Mark Sommer talks about an interesting era in Cleveland baseball. Rocky Colavito, Cleveland's iconic slugger. And Rocky will be here. That'll be on July 5th. It's a Friday night at 7:30, and it's at the State Theater. And you can go to playhousesquare.com for more information, or .org rather, playhousesquare.org, and get tickets for that. It is leading into the All-Star Week, which is leading into a lot of people coming into town.
Which is a good thing.
It is a good thing. Mark, an interesting thing about Colavito is his relationship with Herb Score, who I think we all agree, had he not gotten hit by the line drive by Gil McDougall, probably would be a Hall of Famer. I know it's too early. He only had two and a half seasons of being able to pitch until he tried to pitch after, but set his arm, he had a sore arm as a result. Tell us about those two who got traded on 2 consecutive days in spring training in 1960.
They were very close, as you say. They roomed together for parts of 7 seasons. I want to point out something that you said that Rocky would disagree with. It wasn't. He would say, and he said that Herb Score believed this as well, that it wasn't that infamous line drive off the bat of Gil McDougall and the Yankees that hit Herb Score in the eye that really derailed Herb Score's career. What Rocky would say, and again what he said Herb Score said in addition, is that Herb Score recovered from that. He was back on the mound the next year. He was throwing well, and he hurt his arm on a pitching mound in Washington, D.C. And then he re-injured that arm on the same mound on a subsequent appearance. That than anything is what Rocky would say and really ultimately kind of ended Herb Score's career as a fireballing pitcher.
You know, you also said something to me that I found surprising. I told you that while I really liked Rocky Colavito, my favorite of that era was Roger Maris, who did pretty well once he got to New York. But you told me they were roommates too, right?
They did. They roomed together in the 57 season. At the time, they were both vying for the starting right field job on the Indians, even though Rocky had it seems to have won the starting position the year before, but they were still in competition. But they hit it off right from the bat. I don't think people know that as well about Rocky. They know about Rocky and Herb Score being close. The two of them, really shared a kind of blue-collar work ethic. They were devoted family men, consummate team players, and they really, I would say, commanded the respect and admiration of teammates and opposing players. They were also very proud. They were confident. They could be stubborn. They had short fuses, and they were both known to carry a grudge. They were really just two peas from the same pod in many ways.
Hey, Mark, what did you learn? Anytime you do a project like this, you learn something that kind of surprises you. What did you learn about Rocky that really kind of surprised you?
Well, I learned that he is incredibly modest. It was very difficult for him to tell me stories sometimes he would always have to say, I say this in modesty. It was like a disclaimer before he thought he could go on and talk about things. I wasn't aware of his penchant for signing autographs after games the way he did. Talked to many fans who were the beneficiaries of those autographs and what it meant to them. And that came simply from him as a boy wanting to get autographs of ball players. And Rudy York, who was at the Star with the Detroit Tigers, brushed him off once, and he thought to himself, if I'm ever a star, if I ever get to play in the major leagues, I'll never treat the kid that way. And he lived that way. So that was something else that I thought was pretty cool about Rocky as a ball player. I didn't know the Italian-American connection and how strong that was until I started talking to Italian-Americans in Northeast Ohio when working on the book. That was something else that I didn't really know, couldn't maybe fully appreciate their experience and why he mattered.
All right, Mark, we appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. We're looking forward to the book, Cleveland's iconic slugger. That would be Rocky Colavito. We had a poll on our email earlier, and we had a lot of people hoping that the Indians would put up a statue in center field for Rocky Colavito. I'm not sure that'll happen, but a lot of people have fond memories of the Rock and what he did with the Cleveland Indians. But Mark, best of luck. It's July 5th, 7:30 at the State Theater, downtown Cleveland, and tickets available at playhousesquare.org. And best of luck, and thank you for joining us tonight.
Thanks for giving me the chance. I really enjoyed it.
Terrific. Mark Sommer, who has written that book. Interesting that no ties to Cleveland.
I know.
Hooked on to Rocky Colavito just as a fan.
Which is very strange for, Cleveland Indians of that era.
Yeah, that's true. Although if you're in Buffalo, where he is, it's pretty close.
It's close, but
Pittsburgh's close.
Yeah, and it's not like you get to see the Indians on national TV all the time. So that's why.
Even locally, they might have only been on 10, 12 games a season. Yeah. All right, we'll come back. Don't forget the voicemail of Truth and Reason. You can join us on that. If you can't call during the show, which is on from 6 to 7 Eastern Time, 6 to 7 p.m., you can call any time and leave a message. That's 216-200-6650, 216-200-6650. We'll talk some football when we get back. We'll catch up with Greedy Williams and some of the other Browns rookies when we get back. Dave Bacon is with us. More sports and less Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family cool this summer,
let me show you how this works.
it takes Bryant.
Bryant, whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at 440-449-HEAT.
With me, you know, every time I come out on the field, I want to dominate. And I want to be one of the best, you know, just out here. So, like, you know, knowing that play is going to happen, you know, that's just something that's going to happen. So you just got to come back the next play and, you know, be great and not make the same mistake that you made the first play. So it just, like I said, my mindset just, you know, just coming out every day and dominating and, you know, being one of the best players out here.
You were in the Hall of Fame yesterday in camp. What's going through your mind as you're walking around and you're seeing all these players that came before you? And you know, is there someone that's in the Hall that you know you hope to emulate one day?
Man, it was great, man. I was just like, you know, I just ready to get this season going, you know, and just, you know, try to work toward, you know, being a Hall of Famer, because, you know, that's one of my long-term goals, is to be a Hall of Famer. And, you know, one of the guys, you know, it might sound weird, you know, he played receiver, Randy Moss. You know, I grew up watching Moss, you know, remember just playing backyard football, you know, we make a spectacular catch, we call it Mossdom. So, you know, we always looked up to Moss, you know, where I grew up from.
Greedy, what's the last 6 months been like just in general? Been all over the place.
Oh, it's been busy, man. You know, working day in and day out. So, you know, just like I expected to be busy. You know, guys told me, like, you know, the rookie year gonna always be your most busiest year. So, you know, just taking it all in, you know, just applying everything that I'm learning and putting into the field and going into the weight room now and just, you know, getting bigger and stronger.
When we talked to you in the mini camp, you said you were being humble and kind of taking it slow. Is that hard for you, for a guy that talks trash and has big goals? Is it hard for you to kind of humble yourself as a rookie at all?
No, it's not hard. You know, just like I said, you come from college where you that man, then you come to the NFL where you got to build yourself back up to being that top guy. So right now I'm in the building process, you know, just getting the trust of my teammates, you know, bonding with them as well and getting to know them more and more. You know, that'll boost my confidence up, you know, I'm comfortable, you know, just to come out and, you know, just, you know, have fun with the game.
When did you first make that goal, make the Hall of Fame?
Oh, that's a goal, you know, I made in college when I was out there making plays and stuff. You know, remember my first game caught an interception. I said, you know, when I get to NFL level, you know, I want to, you know, be a Hall of Famer. You know, my job ain't finished till I have a gold jacket. So it's kind of some of the things me and my stepdad, me and him just sit down and talk about.
All right, so Dave Bacon.
It's a goal.
It is a goal, but he hasn't played an exhibition game yet, and he wants to go to the Hall of Fame.
He said that was his goal from the time he was in college.
You agree with?
You want a cornerback to think that way.
Yeah, you do, because you're going to get beat enough times.
You are.
Do you agree with me? If his name's not Greedy, you don't pay as much attention to him. But the name Greedy Williams is a great name.
The fans seem to gravitate to him, so it's very interesting.
Very interesting, no question about that. Greedy Williams. But the question is, can he play?
It looks like he can. You know, the biggest question that I think everybody had about him is he's kind of slender, and you heard him kind of allude to the fact that he wants to get in the weight room and get bigger and get stronger. He can cover, and I think people viewed him as probably the best cover corner or one of the best cover corners in the draft. Question was, you know, how's he going to do tackling? And John Dorsey's thing is, we just want him to get to the guy to the ground. That's the job of a guy.
Yeah, I mean, the point is they don't know if he can tackle or not. They haven't put the pads on at all. By the way, you mentioned it before that the rookies went together as a class to Cedar Point, or they will go to the Cedar Point tomorrow. They went to the Hall of Fame. That's a sensational idea.
Yeah, it is. They've kept them in town, and I think they're going to be here for a little bit longer.
Right.
And then they'll let them go away for 5 weeks, 6 weeks before training camp starts. So I think it's a great idea. And it's not just the draft class. It's all of the undrafted free agents and rookies that will be coming to.
Think they got discounted rates at all?
I bet you. I'd give it to them. Get some people there.
You know, I've always thought that was a good idea. In fact, I'd suggested it 4 or 5 years ago to take these baseball, go in the off season, go to Cooperstown. In football, go to the Hall of Fame, because you wonder, you got Jim Brown walking around the headquarters. How much, we just assume everybody knows Jim Brown and his exploits. That may not be true.
No, and we'll hear a little bit about it coming up too. Just the impression that the rookies got, understanding how many of the Browns from days gone by are in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, sure.
It's impressive.
Yeah, but if they're 21-year-old kids, they don't think of the
idea.
Cleveland Browns as a successful franchise.
Right, 21-year-old kids from all across the country,
Sure.
so they really don't have an idea.
Well, not just the Browns. They may not have any idea. Maybe they know the Patriots. Maybe they know some of the teams. Maybe the Green Bay Packers. But I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, absolutely. And keeping them together is a good idea as well.
Right. 216-575-0403. If you want to talk about Rocky Colavito, you want to talk about the Browns rookies and so forth, you can do that. When we get back, we'll check in with rookie offensive lineman Drew-Forbes. And Dave had the interview with him earlier today. Sokolowski's University Inn. They're Cleveland's oldest family-owned and operated restaurant. They are the winners of the James Beard Foundation Award. Only 5 restaurants get that award each and every year. And to the best of our knowledge, Sokolowski's the only Cleveland representative on that list of the great restaurants in this country. The James Beard Foundation Award, it is so you talk to restaurant people, it's the most prestigious award that you can offer. Sokolowski's University Inn, located in Tremont, 5 minutes out of downtown. Take the Abbey Avenue exit out of downtown Cleveland, swing under the bridge, you can't miss it. Mike and Bernie Sokolowski's University Inn. Coming up, rookie offensive lineman Drew-Forbes comes back. More sports and less Levine with Dave Bacon, exclusively on cleveland.com.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature Stone floor.
I had an epoxy-based sand paint on my floor that deteriorated, and that's why I called Nature Stone.
Why paint? It's expensive, it's ugly, and it doesn't last. Nature Stone is always affordable. It's beautiful, and with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your garage floor again. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor, wow, it's Nature Stone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line. A long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
I moved around quite a bit. I did a lot of guard reps, and I think I'm built at that position more so. But no, I got to play both positions. I enjoyed it a lot. I got to learn a lot from Campen and the older guys. So
when we talked to you right after the draft, you were excited that the Browns said they'd give you a shot at tackle. Have you kind of had a little change of mindset there, thinking maybe guard is the spot for you?
I think it's gonna, what's gonna happen is once the pads get on, that's really gonna determine your position. But I think I feel very more comfortable at guard possibly right now since I got more reps, you know what I'm saying, during OTAs. So, but no, I liked both. I enjoyed playing tackle, and I think it's just once the pads get on, that's what's gonna determine where we're at.
What has your experience been like in that O-line room with Joel, JC? I mean, those are a couple veteran guys, smart guys.
For sure.
What's your experience with them been like?
It's been great, honestly. I haven't had like an O-line room where I'm like, it's been a while since I've been able to lean on guys to really like help get me through and learn such a massive playbook. It's like even more than being a freshman in college, and you're just relying on some of these guys to help like take you under their wing a little bit and really like guide you through this process. And they've done a great job of that with all of us rookies.
Who've you when you face some of these NFL guys, how big a jump, I guess, is it? You know, I mean, you're going against a guy like, I guess, Jannard Avery or whoever the guys you face day in and day out. How much of a leap has that been?
I think it's just like anything. Well, going from high school to college, then college to it's very like comparable in the like amount that like of I don't know how to say it. Like the jump's similar, but anyway, like the physicality I would say is relatively the same, but it's the speed. The speed's different, but the physicality level's similar to college.
Is there one guy you find yourself either going up against more often than another guy, or one guy that's giving you more trouble?
I think I'm just learning that position as a whole. It's not like any specific person giving me trouble. I think it's specific things in my game I just have to correct in order to shore up my pass protection and run blocking.
What did you think of visiting the Hall of Fame?
That was incredible. They had us go and watch this like movie. They took us in the Hall of Fame locker room, and it just got your like skin like tingling, and you just wanted to go out and hit somebody. It was really cool.
Have you ever been before?
I'd never been, no.
Do you think about just the history that the Browns have? I mean, did you gain an appreciation for the rich history?
Oh, certainly. Yeah. You get to go see just all these guys' names just in busts and.
There you have it, Drew Forbes. First time we've had him on the show. Comes across great. I don't know if he can play.
He's the guy that was Prospect X by the by Sports Illustrated. So they gave basically a thumbnail of the most underrated prospect, and they described his size and some of the measurables, and it was Drew Forbes from Southeast Missouri State.
Yeah, the interesting thing is that they've got him working at both positions, guard and tackle, and you would think you need bodies out there, and you find out if he can handle either one.
And he may be a guy that ends up on the practice squad because he is from Southeast Missouri State,
Right.
so it's a smaller. So the speed of the game is probably, and the speed and quickness of the guys he's facing. But you know, I've talked to some of the beat reporters who they brought in and showed his recruiting tape. He said it was they see why he was drafted. He was a man among boys at that level. So it's just a matter of him getting used to what's going on.
Are you surprised the Browns haven't really gone after a left tackle?
You know,
I don't know who's available, but it's such an important position. And last year, Baker Mayfield kept a clean uniform for the most part.
You know, I think they're pretty happy with Greg Robinson at this point. I will say, I think the one thing that could potentially derail this Browns offense that has, Mayfield, now Odell Beckham, Jarvis Landry, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, in order to give your speed and skill guys, the ability to do what they have proven they can do, you got to give them time. That falls right on the offensive line. And I think and I'm not saying it's going to happen, but that's the concern I would have if I was Freddie Kitchens and Todd Monken, the offensive coordinator, is will this line hold up? You got rid of Kevin Zeitler, so you've kind of cleared that out too.
You wonder what Joe Thomas is thinking.
I know.
I was born a little too early.
Yeah.
Because he's exactly what they need.
Exactly. Or, even if it was the last couple years of Joe Thomas's run.
Right.
Think about that. He went through some...
his years, he was still playing every down.
Right, and he put, he had some bad football that he put his body on the line for here in Cleveland, and now they're trending, upward.
Yeah, he was a good soldier, I guess, right?
Yeah, absolutely. He was the guy that came out and talked to the media every time.
Right.
He's the guy that came out and was, think about it, the face of your franchise was the left tackle for a while. Only in Cleveland can that happen.
Well, you say that, but you look back at the left tackles the Browns have had over the years. They've had some, starting with Lou Groza and continuing on to Doug Deacon and a whole bunch of other guys. There have been some pretty good linemen with this team.
But only in Cleveland, a football town, would you be able to get away with the left tackle being the face of your franchise.
Yeah, because you didn't have a quarterback.
Right.
Well, they got a quarterback now.
Yeah, you do. Let's hope the line gives him time to do what he can do.
Right. So what's your gut feeling? I was reading today, Browns are listed as 10, over under 10, and they had some of their reporters go over under whatever they thought, and there was a split on the Browns at 10 over under. But they were both high. They were all higher than Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, and Baltimore.
I think 10 is pretty accurate. I would, if you force me to go over or under 10, I think they may win 11, with the caveat that Baker Mayfield doesn't get hurt.
Well, that goes without saying.
And because, again, Drew Stanton is a capable backup, but he's not a guy that you want to put in there for more than a game or two in an emergency situation.
Right. All right, we haven't talked the Duke Johnson situation and what Baker Mayfield said and how that affected the locker room. What do you think?
I don't think it affects it at all.
I don't either.
I think, if anything, they might have said, yeah, you probably don't want to go out and say that, being the veterans, if that's what you mean. But Baker Mayfield's gonna do what he wants to do. He's proven that. And you know what? If he goes out and plays like he's capable of playing, everybody falls in line and follows.
And by the way, if anybody had a problem with it, underneath they're probably saying, now that's what a leader does.
Yeah. And you know, Baker Mayfield's point was, okay, I understand you're upset. Don't come in and say that to the media the first time they ask you that question.
Right.
Just don't say anything. Say, we're moving beyond that.
Right.
That was his point.
And Duke has to come out and say, look, we all know I want to get traded, but the reality is, until I do, I'm a Cleveland Brown and I'm going to give my best.
Yeah, or just the way to handle that is, I'm not going to answer that question.
Yeah.
This isn't the time or the place to answer that question.
That's a good point. Dave Bacon with us. Mark Sommer joined us earlier. We appreciate that. Tomorrow night, the D-Man, Dennis Maniloff, joins us. Of course, you see us from 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time live, and then you can archive it all day long and go back in time and do that. You can also catch the excitement of live harness racing at Northfield Park. Live racing Sunday through Wednesday, along with Saturday, post time 6 p.m. Open early every day for simulcast action, and don't forget the weekly Sunday contest with the top prize. That would be at $500 each week. Lady Luck's Clubhouse open every Saturday. The buffet just $15.95 at Northfield Park, where it's free admission, free parking every day. We'll check out some emails, some How Come Quickies, and more when we get back. More Sports and Les Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature Stone floor.
My basement was a disaster. We tried carpet, we tried tile on our uneven basement floor, but nothing worked.
Moisture, dampness, even flooding will not harm Nature Stone. And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your basement flooring again. Get Nature Stone installed by the end of June and save up to 50%. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at drew-forbes.com. It's not just a floor, wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen, for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget, Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program has been recognizing role model students and teachers since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Supporting Education. There, you can nominate students in kindergarten through 12th grade as academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible for the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Let's take a look at this date in Les Levine history. 1983, June 19th. Gus, the umpire, said he once played he played defensive tackle for the San Diego Chargers. He didn't count on the invention of the internet, which caught him lying to us. Umpires shouldn't lie, but they did. Well, who would know that the internet would show up and you check out the rosters?
That's the Gus that I know. Very large?
Yeah.
I bet you it is.
Yeah, unfortunately, he passed away, but
I know who
we
you're
had fun
talking
with him.
about.
Tomorrow night it's the D-Man, Dennis Maniloff, and of course you see us live from 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time. You can also follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/More Sports and Les Levine, with new content posted each and every day. Gus, once, in those days, if you only had one umpire, you had to cover everything. So you're behind the plate, and there was a play at second base, and Gus made a half-hearted effort to... Almost got to the pitcher's mound, almost, and somebody questioned him on it. And he said, well, my eyes jiggle when I run. And he picked the wrong team to say that to, because we had an optometrist who played first base. He says, that's not possible.
Here's the thing. somebody appealed a play to Gus.
Right.
And Gus looked at him and started laughing. You're appealing that to me? Just keep playing.
Those were fun days. Cleveland Bill writes, I was a big Rocky Colavito fan as a kid. In the almost 6 decades since his time here, I've never seen the type of loyalty and support that he received. He was class personified. Give Colavito a statue. Weeks ago, I wrote a letter to Paul Dolan in support of a Colavito statue. I wouldn't be surprised if they do. This trip into Cleveland is backed by the Indians. I wouldn't be surprised if they do something.
Yeah, you know, I think make that a whole Memorial to Indians baseball out, and
make it by decade.
Somewhat, yeah, it is somewhat by decade, or you can play with it a little bit, but
right.
Yeah, absolutely keep that alive.
Cleveland Bill also has a How Come Quickie. How come big earthquakes aren't always breaking news? Well, they're breaking something. This from Mr. Gullible. Now you have to think about this way too much. How come my wife got fired from the M&M factory because she kept throwing out all the W's? See, M's upside down.
W's. I got you.
Mr. Gullible, you'll have to excuse me. I don't think I want to use this one. Would you agree with this? It's good, but I don't think I can use it. We'll leave that alone.
Yeah, no, you don't.
We're leaving that alone. Yeah. Mr. Gullible is on the edge sometimes, and he figures if I don't totally proofread them before, he might get away with it. But we appreciate his support. Peggy Mayer, how come the new restaurant on the moon has great food but no atmosphere?
Now that one you had to think about more than you had to think about that more than the W's.
You do. How come the new restaurant on the moon has great food but no atmosphere? Peggy, that's a winner tonight so far. Although here comes John Patrick with his daily double. I'm not sure I'm going to do this one either. What do you think? Now, we're starting to get a little too edgy.
Yeah, when in doubt, leave it out.
Yeah, that's a good point. How come my friend has schizophrenia, but he's good people? Well,
I think we move on to the NBA draft now, don't you?
What's going to happen in the NBA? Tomorrow night is the night?
Well, we know the first 3 picks. And then...
well, do you think New York's sticking with what they have?
Yeah, I would think they're going to go R.J. Barrett. The interesting thing will be if Darius Garland is available for the Cavs at 5 and they stay at 5. That's a guy that, by all indications, was a really good point guard. They have Colin Sexton. Missed a lot of the year because of a torn ACL. Is supposedly healthy. But again, he's a guy that projected to be really, a high-level talent.
Torn ACLs at that age scare me.
They do, especially in basketball. But again, you have high school kids that are having them that come back as well. So sports medicine has progressed. It's the talent of Garland was expected to be really high. If he had been healthy, he could be very well John Morant.
Okay, so if you've got him, would you take him knowing you've got Colin Sexton?
Yeah,
I mean, wouldn't you want more of a veteran, somebody out there to lead the way? Although this is John Beilein's bailiwick, actually.
Yeah, and he prefers those 2-guard type, the dual lead guard or however you want to look at it. The guy that kind of intrigues me too is DeAndre Hunter from Virginia, national championship team.
Great defensive player.
Great defensive player, spot up 3-point shooter.
Right.
He and Culver, both willing defenders. That's the kid from Texas Tech. The one thing that I've heard is the risk reward is higher with Garland. Hunter and Culver might not be quite as high upside and are more well-rounded.
No, and those are names that sort of emerged recently. They you centered on the big 3, and you didn't hear much about.
Well, that's because we know we're not getting any of the big 3. Yeah,
right. But you didn't hear about the Culver and you didn't hear much about these guys. But that, how about if you had to say right now, is Kevin Love on the team opening night?
Yeah, I would think probably. It depends. I mean,
I think Beeline would like to have him.
I do too. Because if Kevin Love is not on the team, you're in full rebuild mode. You're not without Kevin. If you trade away Kevin Love for draft picks or really anything. You're not going to get a guy that's comparable to Kevin Love's talent.
And you know Kevin Love's going to get you 22, 25 points a game, and there's nobody else who can do that.
Correct.
On this team. All right, what about Tristan Thompson?
I'd be willing to move him. I don't know if you'll find any takers on him. He's
Really?
much more valuable on and keep in mind his contract is still pretty high.
That's true.
Limited offense, although he did step up that part of his game. You know, a contender maybe, but again, what are you going to get for him?
No, and if you get him to a contender, it would be later in the year when people know who contenders are and what they need.
You know, they're going to eventually trade J.R. Smith's contract. It's not the player that they want; it's the contract. It's kind of one of those that's grandfathered in.
Right.
I don't know how much you're going to get for that.
Nothing, but you got to get him off the books.
You get him off the books, you might get a draft pick.
Well,
there has to be some value attached to it.
After 7, who's a legitimate pick?
Well, here, for keep in mind, the Toronto Raptors didn't have one lottery pick on their team. The team that just won the NBA championship didn't have one lottery pick.
It can happen.
The problem is here we haven't had a whole lot of success since the consensus number 1 overall LeBron.
Yeah. Do you trust Kobe Altman? I mean, that's the big question. You know, he's on record with one big trade, which was a bad one.
Right.
Although maybe you can blame that on the owner.
You know, Colin Sexton, I guess, was a pretty good pick. Yeah. You know, it wasn't great, but it isn't like there were a bunch of players selected after him that were better than him.
Right.
So, but yeah, you know, I keep coming back to the Kyrie Irving trade versus the Anthony Davis trade. It's night and day. And you could have had the same guy who made the Anthony Davis trade making the Kyrie Irving trade.
Absolutely right. All right, our thanks to Dave Bacon. Thanks to Mark Sommer, who joined us with the Rocky Colavito information. The D-Man, Dennis Maniloff, tomorrow night. We'll see you then from 6 until 7 live on cleveland.com. Of all the shows I've ever done, this was the most recent.